All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the states in Nigeria. I would like to ask by saying, should power be bigger than us or should we be bigger than power? I think these are one of the questions that we'll be asking today. And of course, should the interest of millions override our office, or should the authority of our office override the interest of millions? And also, of course, I'll be asking, is power and leadership a do or die affair? All of these questions are things that we'll be finding answers to courtesy our resourceful guests. And of course, I say again, welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike. And of course, I have the Real Talker, one of the Real Talker, our houses. But yes, his birthday was actually on Sunday. Yeah, so he came in here looking bright in orange. How you doing? How did you paint the town red? Can you tell us, please?
Yeah, well, I slept, I woke up, I ate some cake, I went back to sleep, and I woke up and I ate some cake.
You have sweet.
Yes, I did. When you were introduced it, you said, you almost said one of our house husbands. I know Kike that doesn't like anything that has to do with double, you know what I mean? Double dating and all of that, you know, no, you won't find Kike in any of that circle. So having two house husbands, I don't think, it's enough for her. Welcome, guys. It's the RTWK show. My name is Marshall Anthony Ononya, and today promises to be interesting. As usual, Dami is not here with us. She's doing her home things and doing other things that she knows how to do best. Kike and I will drive this vehicle. Welcome.
All right, fantastic. All right, I think it's important for us to get a word from our sponsors before we come back to our On This Day Industry segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Nigeria's main militant group, Movement for Emancipation of Niger Delta, called for an indefinite ceasefire to encourage dialogue. And I know that this is one on this industry segment that I want to believe that is important for us to go into dialogue. It happened exactly 13 years ago. But quickly, before I give my submission, Masha, what's your take on this?
On this day in history, was the Movement for the Emancipation of Niger Delta MEND declaring a ceasefire. Now, they wanted at the time to negotiate with the government. They were willing to also carry out a disarmament of their militant group. And there were also certain demands they required from the federal government, amongst which was the release of Henry and Charles Oka at the time, who were serving jail term in South Africa. Amongst that, you would remember vividly that this, at the time when Boko Haram was still, I think, in its cradle stage, this was the major militant group in the country that were agitating for, against the impoverishment of the Niger Delta, the rich, oil-rich Niger Delta region, and the exploitation of their resources at the time. Yeah.
All right, fantastic submission. I think just to add to what you've just said is the fact that, the draining of oil, which is one of the challenges that we are still facing today when it comes to selling to black markets and the likes and all of that. It's just unfortunate how I feel that some certain behavior have become a culture. Because if you look back on our On This Day Industry segment, there are things that we've been struggling about for years. We should have learned from. And it's unfortunate that every administration comes in and it's still the same thing. So I'm asking myself, what are the lessons from some of the ills or some of the challenges that we have faced, that we are still facing today? Is it that our unborn children will come and continue to face this? So it's just unfortunate that, yes, we are concentrating on oil, and yes, some people are stealing it, some people are draining it, some people are selling to black market. You will see today that how NNPC, they are saying that they don't pay tax. All sorts have been coming up since the end of this administration, and it has been from time immemorial. How do we get better in dealing with our issues? And of course, one of the emphasis on this day in history segment is dialogue. And I know that on this platform we've always, advocated for dialogue, coming on the table, agreeing, for us to move forward and for us not to prolong issues. Even though I'm not a believer of committees, so to speak, because I feel that in this country, we just form committee at every little thing, and yes, exactly. But quickly, we have to move on to the main topic of the day. But before we move to we'll move to the main topic of today. And of course, after steering the course of a turbulent United Kingdom economy as Prime Minister Liz Truss resigned from the, exalted, I would like to use the word exalted office she, sought after and fought very hard to occupy just some 44 days ago. Yes, and it's honorable that she saw the weight of the office, admitted her inability to deliver on the mandate, and of course resigned. Many political analysts have submitted, opined that it is honorable that she saw the weight of the office and admitted her inability to deliver on the mandate, and she resigned. However, as far as I'm concerned, I feel the youngest ever Prime Minister, Masha, Rishi Sunak, has assumed office yesterday, and I'm asking, this man has become the youngest UK Prime Minister ever at the age of 42, and the third within would I say the space of spite of 3 months after short spells by Liz Truss. And of course, on the live show today, we have, not only looking at the UK Prime Minister transitioning, but we are also mirroring it down, to Nigeria, and of course the style of leadership. And Nigeria, obviously, despite being independent, still have a resemblance of the UK system in terms of education, in terms of law, in terms of governance, name it. And on Real Talk today, our Real Talk show today, we have a prestigious historian I would like to refer to him, who has been doing some real talk with us, and he will be talking about the transitioning of Prime Minister and how the matter concerns us as Nigerians. Guys, let's take a quick look at his profile. Stay with us, we'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Of course, let me use this opportunity to quickly usher in our guest via Zoom link. Again, I say welcome to the show, Professor Kemi Rotimi. It's a pleasure to have you on the live show today. How are you doing today, sir? Let's start from there.
I'm fine. Good afternoon, Kike.
All right, many thanks for joining us. So let's go straight to the topic at hand. As a renowned historian with decades of work within the UK and Nigeria, I would like to ask you, what do you, say of a country like UK that the world sees as a political stable nation, having to change prime ministers within months because of economic tension? Are these how would I put this, antecedents in history to what is happening at the moment globally? What's your take on this?
Well, the changes that Britain has experienced in the last few weeks is not all just about the economy. There has been the moral dimension. Boris Johnson didn't lose office just because of the economy. There were moral issues, lying to his colleagues, lying to the nation about aspects of his conduct during COVID and after. What do these things say about human beings? They just show that at bottom, human beings basically the same. We have our foibles, our inadequacies, our triumphs, our challenges. So Britain is going through its own rough patch now in the development in the course of its democratic governance. If I may just extend the point, the same thing is going on in the US, when after losing an election in 2021, Donald Trump organized thugs to invade the Congress and beat people black and blue. The investigation is going on now. The man is doing his best not to cooperate. Now, here we are in Nigeria, about to transit from one government, one regime to another. Those who want to govern us are going all over the place, campaigning, asking for our votes. They are releasing manifestos now. So it thought that at any given point in time, nations will be governed by people that are elected. We have made some progress. It used to be the rule of it used to be by soldiers, jackboots. Now we are electing people governors. How fair and how well our votes have counted, another thing entirely. So back to Britain. This is a moment in his history when a few things have not gone right, but you can see how they are struggling, how the political elite struggling to correct their mistakes. Whether they have got to the end of it, we don't know, but we wait and watch. If anybody had predicted that Liz Truss would disappear from the scene so very fast the other day, that would look like an unfair prediction. Maybe I should reserve further comments about the new man as we progress in the discussion. I think I've answered your question as best I can.
What I'd like to know from you, sir, is the hopes that you are having about this new man, because with the advent of Liz Truss taking office, so much was said about how that even is a coup on the Boris Johnson administration, and because a lot of people, the British, had so much hope bestowed on Liz Truss, and with her walking away, in fact, with her admittance to the shaky politics, with the shaky positioning of her title, and the fact that her inability also played a role, that she admitted her inability to restore the economy, and then walking away. Now, this man coming on board leaves a lot to be questioned, because with Liz Truss, you see the people's hope walking away. What hope would you say there is from your own angle on this new administration?
Okay, now let me start by declaring that for me, there are three ingredients in politics: corruption, intrigues, and violence. In more developed settings, maybe violence has substantially reduced, but you still have corruption and you still have intrigues. If you have, whoever has monitored developments in Britain from the time of Cameron through to Rishi Sunak, will appreciate how much intrigue as a phenomenon has featured. Now, Theresa May came on when Cameron lost office. Boris Johnson was doing all kinds of, playing all kinds of games, not just to make the woman uncomfortable, but pushed and pushed until he virtually railroaded the woman out of office. Then he assumed office. And then the rest is history, as they say. We saw how he managed the office, then piled character flaws upon character flaws, coupled with the challenges of COVID and the economy and the hardship that people had to put up with. He lost office. Now, Liz Truss, all that went on before Liz Truss emerged, but that's a question of people angling after succession to Boris Johnson. Those who are interested threw their hats in the ring. In the end, following the debate as much as I did while it lasted, I will not hesitate to say that, but for what we call in this part tribalism or ethnicity, Rishi Sunak had always demonstrated that when it comes to the matter of the moment, which is the grinding economic crisis of Britain, he was in a better position to deliver. But Liz Truss got the post, eventually emerged winner, and lapped it up. But then 44 days after, came to the sad conclusion that she was just not capable of carrying the weight thrust on her shoulders. And now here we are, Rishi Sunak has emerged. One thing that interests me about the emergence of the two things actually, that's of interest to me in the emergence of Rishi Sunak. One, that's the climax of Britain's embracing of multiculturality, i.e., you know, it's not all about Caucasian whites. Now people of color, beginning even with Rishi Sunak, holding positions like Chancellor of the Exchequer before this post and other positions in Parliament. And then we saw we have one of our own now, depending on what happens to her today, Kemi. There you have the Ghanaian who lost office after a few days as Chancellor of the Exchequer the other day. Britain, for Rishi Sunak to eventually emerge yesterday as Britain's Prime Minister, that shows the climax of Britain now embracing multiculturality. It's a mark of progress. The only equivalent you have to read is the emergence of Barack Obama in 2008 as president in America. What does that mean? It means that other people of color can hope for sometime, someday, when they too can succeed to that height in British politics. These things are encouraging. But for people who cast after office but lose and become despondent, the Rishi Sunak thing should inspire hope, especially now that in the case of Nigeria, we are gearing up for elections, general elections next year. Of the 18 people wanting to be canvassing to be our president, only one will emerge. Whoever does not get it should not be too despondent. Keep hope alive. If anybody had told Rishi Sunak 49 days back that you will be prime minister, probably have said, are you stargazing? But here we are. Now Rishi Sunak, a man of color, has emerged as Prime Minister of Britain. I'm hopeful that he'll be able to fix the economy because in the course of the debates before Liz Truss emerged, he had demonstrated capacity and he has substantial integrity. And when you look at the way he was embraced yesterday, between Sunday, over the weekend to yesterday, you can see a substantial number of Conservative Party members rooting for him. That's a vote of confidence, and I'm hopeful that he will deliver.
Many thanks for your submission thus far. You know, talking about hopeful, and of course, you've mentioned about multiculturalism is what is playing out right now in UK. You know, Sunak is an Indian descent, to be precise, and however, being the Prime Minister today, and he has parents who has emerged from Africa, father from Kenya, mother from Tanzania. You know, the populace of UK are concerned with all of this, to be honest, because we keep it real on this platform. But can it deliver the mandate is the question people would like to know. And I would like to ask you right now, with all that you've shared thus far, how do we reorientate our people beyond religious, ethnic, and sentimental divides?
Okay, let me quickly correct you over something. The parents of Rishi Sunak are also Indians. Their parents migrated from India to one to Tanzania, one to Kenya. So they are not Africans, please. They are Indians too, but they were born in Kenya and Tanzania and then moved later to Britain. So let's get that right. Now, talking about the development of our policies and the stage we are at, please let us be charitable to ourselves. Democratic governance in Nigeria, this is the longest experience of it that we have had in Nigeria. 22 years going on, 23 years going to 24. So let us not make it look like we can already, quote and unquote, compete or behave the way they do it in Britain or in the United States. No. The issues that come up in our politics, religion, ethnicity, these issues will be there for some time. But as we progress in the course of democratic governance, we will outgrow some of them. If, for instance, take the move by the APC now, it's a gamble. Trying to recall that it happened before 1993. Now, can it be replicated? That's what they are trying to test with the voters in Nigeria. If they succeed, and by their conduct in office show that it was just about winning the votes first before you govern, then the issue of religion may not matter as much as it does now. But that's about the future. Now, Richie Sunak, by whatever means he has emerged, he will only try to do as much and as best as he can. The verdict cannot be given in the immediate. I guess as we speak, will have got his letter of consent from King Charles III now. Now he will begin to put his cabinet together and then set to work. But the issues are so very clear to him. And maybe because he's already, quote unquote, in material terms, he and the wife very well made, they're billionaires. So using the office to acquire private fortune may not matter. And those who are skeptical that because of his background and the background of the wife, their urbanity, their wealth, connect with the poor or the masses in this part of the world. No, the guy has demonstrated in the course of debate the other day that he can feel the pain of the poor in the UK. And let us not always forget that's a welfarist society. So whatever you do, once you don't factor into your governance style that for the poor, you're likely to be in trouble. But he has an advantage. The kind of embrace he has received, the welcome he has in the party, Liz Truss didn't have that privilege the other day. And that speaks volumes for what is likely to happen as he progresses with governing.
All right, many thanks again for your submission. I want us to bring it back home. I feel that the network is a bit erratic right now, but let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, sir?
Clearly.
All right, fantastic. Many Nigerians have started murmuring, that if it was in Africa, even with people dying, the president or the governor will not resign from office. So are these statements realistic, or is it that the Nigerian African system just differ from theirs and our leaders are always optimistic at our own end until probably or maybe things get better? What's your take on this quickly?
All politics is local. Those who engage in this comparison business, they say you shouldn't compare apples with oranges, right? There is no basis for comparing democracy or democratic governance in any third world setting with what you have in what you call first world countries. No. I mean, the parliamentary system that still endures in Britain, wasn't that what we started off with at in 1960 or even before then? Now, the military intruded into our lives, and that by the time we returned to democratic governance in 1999, we said, no. There were too many challenges with parliamentary democracy. Presidential. We went presidential. The deal was aborted again. After another 1983 to 1999, another 16 years, we returned, but we are still struggling with the presidential thing. These are about the evolution of society. And in my preliminary remarks, I did refer to developments in British democracy now and what is going on in the United States. If what happened in January last year in the US had happened here, oh, what do you expect? We're backward. then you have this expression, in more civilized countries. We are not uncivilized. In this matter of democratic governance, we are just evolving. And America 1776 to now, do the arithmetic. If they could have that challenge in 2021, we're not doing badly. We will make our mistakes, we'll correct our mistakes, then we'll move on. In Britain, there was, even with the support that Rishi Sunak has got now from his party, the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, and the other opposition parties are clamoring for a general election. In other words, they don't like this coronation thing. As far as they are concerned, Rishi Sunak should not go forward, should not exult at the fact that he has emerged as Prime Minister. For them, it is not about emerging properly. Yeah, so there are those who in the UK who, as we speak, don't think much of what has just happened. For them, therefore, it's not a big deal. So we are struggling to govern ourselves democratically. We're making progress. What happened during the primaries the other day. Many may not appreciate it, but it is sign of progress, i.e., you know how many members of the National Assembly will not go back? Not that they didn't try. They tried and spent money, but the electorate rejected them, or they were outspent. And if anybody challenging a National Assembly member could outspend the National Assembly member, that space volumes for the challengers. But it was more about the electorate. Say, hey, wait a minute, you just can't come around here when you need our votes again to bamboozle us. No, it is sign of progress. We're making progress and we'll get there. But it is not a leap. No, it cannot be by quantum leap. It's not a mile. It's
I have to
a long
interrupt your line
distance.
of thought, sir. Are you with me, sir?
Very much so.
All right, we'll go on a quick break and return after a word from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still with us. In case you just joined today's show, today's conversation is about the transition of UK prime ministers, and of course the reflection on Nigerian system of governance, our own country, Nigeria. Of course, our guest today is a remarkable historian of repute. Of course, Professor Kemi, Rotimi have been sharing a lot of light and comparison in terms of what happens there in terms of democracy and of course their own system in UK. And I must say many thanks to him with all you have shared thus far. But quickly, let me open our phone lines. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 08098877400 showing on your screen right now. And of course, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube page, both on Silverbird platform and on Real Talk with Kike platform. Sir, are you there?
Very much so.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me come to you quickly. Sunak agendas is linking migration with foreign policy and countries who want to collaborate with the UK on the return of migrants who would be rewarded with some aid, some trade, and of course visas. I would like to ask you, based on your own experience, how will this policy play out with Nigerians, knowing that we have one of these highest immigrants in the UK at the moment, based on the statistics that trended a few days ago?
UK does not have much choice about admitting people into that country now, because their exit from Brexit, or with Brexit, the fellow Caucasian whites from other countries left. Being a welfare society, they realize there are gaps. As I'm talking to you, they still need many, many more people, especially in their health service system. So, and then other services, they will need people. And if you may treat this as a joke, but when it happened, I laughed. the lady who was in charge of the Home Secretary, she made a statement shortly before she resigned from office that they were going to control the number of dependent relations following Nigerian immigrants into Britain the other day. When shortly after that, she had to resign. I joked with a friend that Nigerian immigrants preparing to go, consulting spiritualists and babalawos and the rest, must have taken a name to those who are helping them beyond the ordinary to emigrate, which was why she had to leave office. But that's a joke. But the over immigration, I know you are referring to that arrangement the other day that warranted deporting people to Rwanda. These things are based on circumstances that we may not be fully apprised of. But I know it of a fact that Britain has enormous room for immigrant workers because they need them in very many aspects of their lives. I know about the health sector because I have people who are involved. So I don't think Rishi Sunak will disturb the arrangement because they need people for this to render these services. And something we must not forget, Rishi Sunak being a product of immigration, is not likely to be that hostile to more and more people coming in. But it doesn't mean that it will be a reckless thing. No, some control may have to be put in place. Like, this thing about dependent relations, they may have to, if only to be sure that you don't make it an all-comers affair. But they definitely cannot stop people emigrating to Britain because they need the workers. They need the workers.
To ask you, bring it like Kike said, bring it back home. Interestingly, I was going to ask you a question pertaining to immigration, and you just satisfied my curiosity in that with your last submission. But I still want to know. We did see the fantastically corrupt statement of Nigeria being fantastically corrupt by David Cameron, and even after that statement, several requests for apology, and until President Muhammadu Buhari came to say, look, he's not looking for an apology, but he's looking for the UK government cooperating with Nigeria to return some of these assets. We then did see the attempt to return some of our artifacts and some assets also held up in the United Kingdom from the time of Theresa May, and it was further consolidated by Boris Johnson. We cannot say much about Liz Truss, but with Rishi Sunak now, I'd want to know, what does Nigeria stand to gain? Aside from immigration, what do you think his ascension into office portends for Nigeria?
Not being a foreign relations expert, I cannot be too categorical as to what you will do. But let us get something right. Rishi Sunak has not assumed office for the benefit of Nigerians or Ghanaians or Rwandans. He has assumed office to put right, first, the economy in Britain and lessen the burden on the lower level citizens. That is, people in the what you call low level income bracket. So it is only in this part of the world that we want to give charity or show grace to people outside of our shores. You know what I mean without elaborating. We don't have enough electricity, yet we donate or export to neighboring countries. Rishi Sunak, say what you may be of Indian origin, but happily enough, he was born on British soil. So he's in, other than skin color, in every other material particular a Briton. So his concern is with the welfare of the people who live in Great Britain or the United Kingdom. So it will force endeavor to stabilize the economy, make sure that people are comfortable. Of course, there are bilateral relations that some are ongoing, so newer ones will be entered into. All of these obligations, it will look at them, those that are then prioritized. So it will have to maintain decent relationship with all countries that have bilateral relations with Britain, and especially with the Commonwealth countries. And the Commonwealth countries are now even expanding. Non-English speaking former colonial territories are also joining in. As we speak, I think about 3 or 4 applications are pending. I think Togo is about to join or has joined. So all of these things, all issues of governance will be considered. But in the immediate, it is the economy. And that's the kind of thing Nigerians will also hope that whoever is to govern us, by whichever means you emerge next year as Mr. President, please attend to the hunger in the bellies of people. So in the immediate, Rishi Sunak will attend to the challenges, the domestic challenges of British citizens. Whatever is left, if it can be used for the comfort of people outside of the shores of the UK, he will attend to them, because bilateral relations will always be there. And he is a man of honor. He will respect some of the things, some of the agreements and that previous holders of the office might have entered into. Even the 44-day-old Prime Minister, whatever he had committed Britain to, that must carry out. He will. But let us not forget that primarily the man has assumed office for the welfare and well-being of British citizens.
One thing that has always appeared very cynical to me, sir, is when you ask a member of this administration how what they putting in place to ensure that the economy of Nigeria is, more stable and becomes more robust. They seem to take an excuse or a getaway with what the UK economy is looking like, especially with the walkaway of Liz Truss now. I remember someone saying, look, it's so unstable in the UK that even Liz Truss had to admit, and she had to say, look, she could not handle this and walk away. And that seemed to me like a very cynical excuse when you ask an administration of President Muhammadu Buhari what is happening to the economy. I'd like you to make a contrast between the both of them, or otherwise, the Nigerian economy and that of the UK. Are we very much alike? Are we suffering from the same problem? Or what do you make of this?
Okay, let's put it this way. Governance styles differ from one country to another. There may be a general economic problem, global, which anybody in government anywhere in the world can wave in the face of the citizenry about why they either don't perform well or don't perform at all. But that is not to say that it is the same circumstances afflicting Britain that are afflicting Nigeria. No. We know it of a fact that if we can reduce graft and be more committed to governance, our circumstances might not be as dire as they are now. Take, for instance, this whole thing about oil theft. And then the outsourcing of governance, of governance and government to government, Now, we have our basic challenges, and you made that point earlier. This whole thing about being fantastically corrupt. Say what you may, we are still fantastically corrupt. And that fantastic corruption is still dogging our every attempt at governance. So, our economic circumstances are bad, dire, but they have not been brought about by the same challenges that have warranted the situation in Britain. And you look at how very fast and effective they have corrected theirs. They put somebody in place after 44 days. The colleagues told her, because before she came out to make that announcement, don't forget, she said she was going to be in place. She's not a quitter, and she was going to be in place until the next election. Overnight, they talked to her. I said, young lady, it doesn't look like you can even proceed beyond this point. And then she had to surrender. Yes, we may not get that readily done here. When you make that noise about you are not performing, they will tell you Ukraine war. You know, we latch onto every excuse not to perform. But thank God for the way things are. Social media may have its dark side, but information dissemination is no longer the business of people only in government. We now know that our oil is being stolen, and even the Navy cannot account for why things have been the way they are.
All right.
So,
all right, many thanks. Apologies, I have to interrupt your line of thoughts. We're running out of time. I wish I could also ask you one of my last questions, which is about Sunak, knowing that it's from the Conservative Party. You know, from your own historical perspective, what should the British people expect from his own administration? But we've run out of time, so there's no how that we can actually trash that. But with all that you've shared thus far, I want to say many thanks. But before we let you go, you know, there's this last segment of the show that we call Trending Stories. These are stories that affect us all, that bind us together. My co-host likes to call it that interest us as Nigerians. And one of the first trending story that caught our attention is that of the Nigerians that have been barred from the UAE. Before I come to my guests, quickly, Masha, what's your take on this?
Well, it's interesting. We've seen several policies, immigration policies, that some Nigerians might say are not friendly. So, for lack of a better word, we've seen so many non-friendly immigration policies come from the UAE. Sometime ago, when we spoke about one of the policies here, I did say, yes, well, it's coming in time because of the kind of lifestyle we've seen Nigerians exhibit. We've had too many Nigerians being arrested over there for crimes. But I think this is one too many. The last time I started having a sit back on my thoughts in support or in favor of the kind of policies that emanate from the UAE was when the airline policy or airline fracas we're having with the Emirates and the UAE and Nigeria, some of Nigerians privately owned airline companies. So here again, coming to see the kind of travel ban that has been placed again on Nigerians intending to travel to the UAE and the restrictions that are heaping on top of restrictions, I think it's one too many. I do not think that Nigerians are that bad. Yes, a lot of us will want to jackpot. A lot of Nigerians want to, you know, escape from the hardship that is bedeviling the nation. But I do not think that it's only United Arab Emirates that you see Nigerians traveling to. And I still repeat, I do not think that Nigerians are that bad in those countries.
You've said a lot. If you ask me, when you're saying that Nigerians are not that bad, you know, I think there are a lot of examples that I want to put out there. But let me start by saying that this is more politically inclined. If we recall that a Nigerian woman was sentenced to 1 year in prison after maybe a picture that she was posted on Twitter in August that went viral, if you remember, on social media, showing how she, along with other Nigerian nationals, you know, were being detained at Dubai International Airport, despite claiming that the visa or the valid visas that they had, you know. But subsequently, I just feel that, you know, like you touched on the Emirates issue, you know, Emirates has ceased to fly in and out of Nigeria first off, you know, and I just feel that the aviation industry right now, and of course with all that is going on with Air Peace, you know, we know what transpired with Air Peace as well when it comes to UAE and the likes and all. So likewise, the UAE authorities have been hostile to our nationals, hostile, you know, in their own country, deporting most of them in hundreds, Marshall. And within the last few weeks, I'm wondering, what have we truly done to deserve that kind of a thing? But there's more to this between the Nigeria and the UAE government, to which I feel that both governments haven't really issued reliable, verified public statements to that effect. So this is a matter of bilateral relations and the fact that the government needs to be transparent about the causes of this tension and, of course, the development and the resolution on the said bilateral discord, because I just feel that what are the lessons that we also need to learn as Nigerians. I feel that right now, Masha, this is time for us to look inwards, look towards making our own country a destination for tourism. Yeah. We should revive our own monumental and our tourism tourist sites. We should, I'll be speaking in in a speaking engagement in the next few days, and it's about tourism and, of course, technology. And I'm wondering, we should appreciate our African heritage and support our own African allies. We should have ownership culture, which is part of the things that is lacking in our character and our behavior, regardless of how we want to look at it. In terms of heritage, we tend to destroy things. So when we start doing things properly, doing things well, then we will tend to want to love our country, Nigeria, and spend money. Can our leaders understand that we need to start investing in our country, not just people jackpotting, not just we, because when we travel to all these countries, Marshall, when I travel to UAE, I know how much I spend in thousands of dollars. Economically, you are giving back to their country. When is our government will start looking inward to say they want to fix things? Quickly, sir, I don't know if you can, drop your comments or your submission in 1 minute. What's your take on this, sir?
Many more Nigerians should be deported from the UAE. Many more Nigerians should be barred from entering. Where is the wife of our president that you speak? Kike, where is she? How many first ladies have 2 homes and then run their homes from exile? Over what? The overvaluation of the UAE by Nigerians, which has warranted stealing our money to go and spend the money there, and then violation of visa regulations. Abike Dabiri spoke about this thing. If you are expected to come in alone and you choose to come as family, or you are expected to come as family and you choose to come alone, even after telling lies, what do you expect them to do? It is only here that you violate rules and you are not sanctioned. So there's no politics in this thing, It is our excesses that have pushed those people to the wall and then they have sent us back. Look at the number that came back 2 days ago. Can you imagine that humongous number of female folks in that crowd? What did they go there for? Look, let us stop over celebrating other countries where people have put their governance style in good shape.
All right, many thanks.
Let those who govern us stop wasting our money. Let them deport more, and bar them.
Many thanks for that submission, sir. Quickly, let's touch on the second trending story. And the second trending story that we are is really is a sensitive thing. It's about the father that beats the baby child to amputation. It's unfortunate. Quickly, I don't know if our technical directors can actually put up some of these pictures. But Masha, let me come to you. What's your take on this in 1 minute, please?
Well, I think I'll use my 1 minute to make it clear for our guest, just in case he's not abreast with it. It's about a man who beat his child and beat his child with a hanger, and the child is a 2-month-old baby, and broke his right arm, and to the extent to which the arm had to be amputated. And he said the child was crying and disturbing his sleep. That was when the mother stood up to go ease herself. That man is an animal. He needs to be put down. He needs to be euthanized. That's my opinion.
All right, many thanks, Marshall, for your submission. You see, I'm glad that the Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, in Imo State chapter, and of course, the National Human Rights Commission, of course, have also called on the Imo state government and the Nigerian Police Force, that's the NPF, to immediately arrest and prosecute Mr. Confidence Amatobi, that's his name actually, and for allegedly, for lack of a, I'm just assuming that allegedly breaking his 8-week-old baby's arm. This is the biological father of this child. Let me emphasize on this, and I'm wondering, where is love at the moment? And I'm asking again, where is blood connection, guys? Where is the sanity of being a parent? Just because the baby disturbed your sleep, his sleep. And, I read the news again and again, and I was wondering, I I don't want to use certain words on a live TV, on a live television, but Mr. Amatobi was said to have assaulted the child Miracle's arm for disturbing his sleep. The incident led to amputation of the fractured arm, just like we've displayed the picture. And there needs to be, I feel that reading this news back to back, Marshall, I feel that there needs to be a mental health check for many Nigerians. It's not just about him. I feel that it's not just funny anymore with the way we hear all sorts of related news and the likes and all that. Some parents have no business being a mother or a father. I keep emphasizing on this, and then again, I said, can this actually be depression? Because in this side of town, we actually don't pay attention to depression. I know that depression does not mean that you're harming yourself. It could just be that you're tired of things, you don't have interest and all of that. Could it be drugs? Because I know drugs is also what makes you, violent and all of that. But I don't understand how a sane man can do this to his own child. It's just not possible. Perhaps he would have just killed the baby if there was nobody there to even come in line in the first place. God save us in this country. Mental assessment is now a necessity for us in Nigeria. I must emphasize on this. Mental assessment is necessary. Else, I just pray that we don't keep losing more innocent souls, innocent children that are the future of this country, all in the grounds of domestic violence or insanity. And that's all I can say. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I cannot get the submission of our guests. But quickly, I just want to use this opportunity to say many thanks to our guests for creating time to be on the show. It was indeed an awesome show with you, courtesy, of course, our resourceful guest, Professor Kemi Rotimi. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. And with that, we've come to the end of an interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. Remember to put some smile on somebody's face and be kind to one another, regardless of how what life throws at you. Bye now. So unfortunate.